Okay, this is a test, so you can start talking a little bit.
This is a test. I am here with Peter and Michelle and Lily for Thanksgiving 2011. This is a test. I'm here in Westfield, New Jersey with Peter and Michelle and Lily. Anton is going to come for Thanksgiving from Rutgers University. There's also a puppy and two cats, Pippa and Obie and Garfield. We're having a marvelous time here. It's Thanksgiving 2011. Now I'm continuing with memories, my memories. And this time it's about Jim. It's now a little more than 5.5 years since he died. I'll start with his early years. He was born in Chicago, Illinois on May 3rd, 1928 to Grace and Harold Burtness. He had a brother, Roger, 3 years older. There was a big family in Chicago on both sides, the Burtnesses and the Reinholdsons. They were very close and were together often at Bethel Lutheran, on holidays and birthdays and many other occasions. It was a marvelous foundation, very loving and very secure. We had our first date when I was a freshman at St. Olaf. He was a sophomore. I had just turned 18. He called and asked me to go to the movies on Friday night, That was just after Thanksgiving, November 1946. That's 65 years ago. Wow. When we came back to the dorm, he asked me to go out Saturday night. I said no, I was busy, which I was. I was going out with someone else that night. Then he asked me for Sunday night to go to the St. Olaf Christmas concert. I said yes. Then we studied every night in the library until Christmas vacation. When we returned after Christmas break, Dort said to me, "Do you want to go down to the train depot and meet the Chicago kids?" I said yes. Jim was so surprised to see me and happy. Roger took his suitcase to the dorm and we walked back to my dorm. It seemed very natural and very good and very happy. It was a marvelous time at St. Olaf. We got engaged when I was a senior. Then we were married a year later in Portland in 1951. So that would have been 60 years that we were married. Well, then there was Jim's internship year and then his last year at the seminary. He worked very hard, very early and very late, but he loved his studies. We went to Chicago the summer after seminary graduation and lived with his folks. He studied all summer for the preliminary tests at Princeton that you had to pass before actually matriculating. He was very diligent, dedicated, very scheduled. He made lists, what to do, checked them all off one by one. He was quite amazing. He had gotten into Northwestern Medical School at age 20 after 3 years at St. Olaf. And now at age 25, he passed all his prelims at the beginning of Princeton. I'm not sure if anyone else did that year. He was smart, clear in his thinking, clear in speaking and writing. He always said that I was smarter than he was, but I said no. I know he worked harder, he was more disciplined, he got much more done. Princeton was also a great place to be. The children came. Steve was born in Princeton in 1953. They didn't let Jim into the labor room or the delivery. I was alone except for an occasional aide that came in for about 5 or 6 hours. Jim was in the waiting room the whole time. I thought that was terrible. He did too. He tried to get into the labor room and delivery, but they said no, absolutely not. He came in right after Steve was born. I thought he had gone home. He said he was there every minute. It was the same with Eric. Both of them were born at the Princeton hospital. But with Deborah and Peter, he was there in the labor room, not in the delivery room, but he stood in the doorway. The doctor there was Dr. Ernie Jensen in Albany, Oregon. Al Rogness, George Austin, Warren Quanbeck all wanted Jim to come to they were all at Luther Seminary. They wanted him to come to the seminary, and he wanted to go there too. He had many other opportunities to teach or to be in administration, but he always decided to stay at Luther, and he loved it there until his last class. After his first trip overseas to India in the summer of 1962, he loved to travel overseas. When he was in the hospital in 2006, before he died, I had to cancel a 3-week trip to Mexico with airfare 2 weeks, for 2 weeks in England in May, and also plans to go to the Palm Desert. He had said at Christmas time 2005, "We don't have any trips planned for the fall of 2006. We'll have to decide where to go." Of course, we plan to be at the cabin all summer of 2006. He was always eager to travel. Excuse me. There were many vacation trips, a couple to Mexico, a couple to St. Martin, St. Cozumel, to Nice, France, and to Italy, Greece, and Spain. And of course there were study and teaching trips really, to India and Germany and England, plus either study or mostly teaching, to Spain, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, all over Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Madagascar, South Africa, Cameroon, Central African Republic, and I'm sure some that I've forgotten for sure. He was a marvelous husband. I thought I was so lucky, so fortunate, so blessed to have him as my husband. He was more than I could ever have expected. It was fun to be with him. We had really good times together. He couldn't stand to have disagreements with me. We talked and worked out everything. We never went to bed angry with each other. We just had to work out whatever it was. We said, "I'm sorry," and we forgave. At different times in life, we had different kinds of devotions. We read the Greek New Testament together, or specific Bible books, or sometimes Bonhoeffer or other devotional books. And we prayed together. We prayed for their children, for the grandchildren, naming each one of them by name. At Summer Street, I remember he put the children to bed every night and read to them and prayed with them. Our children, all through these years, were so central and important to him. Their marriages, their spouses, their very happy times with the weddings and celebrations, and then the births of each new baby, grandchildren that came, and the baptisms of each one, the confirmations. The times we were all together with the family were most important part, I think, of the last 50 years of his life. What was really important and most central were those times together. There were sad times, of course, too. His work and his accomplishments, his colleagues and his friends and travels were all very important and meaningful. But really, it's the family that counted, and what remained and what gave meaning to life and to happiness. He was proud and happy to see each one grow up, make big decisions. We talked together about each one of the children every day, prayed for them every day. Steve was a special concern, but also a special relationship and love with Steve. But each one was so special in a very special, specific way. The children were all close to each other, and the grandchildren also. It was so much fun for Jim to see the grandchildren, the cousins, all together and having such a great time. He was very loving, lots of fun. I especially remember his big smile. He was very clear in expressing how he was feeling, what he was thinking, his ideas and his views. He was always straight on, obvious, not deceitful or hidden, not phony or pretentious, but authentic. He was real. There's much more to say, many, many more specific memories about friends, about students, about seminary life, but maybe that's for another time. As I speak, I realize I'm not capturing who he really was. It's just a frail attempt, not even very well organized. When I say one thing, I think of about 10 more things I want to say. And I think, well, I know he was so much more than my words about him. The reality of who he was is so much, much more than my words or anybody's words. I remember him all. I remember him in all our times together with love. The end. So, that's all.